Stampin' Up. I'm a Stampin' Up demonstrator in Basking Ridge, New Jersey, and I go live every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time to share with you things that I've been working on, some sneak peeks like today, and just general Stampin' Up stuff. So it's right before the Christmas holiday, so I am actually decked out. I just came from my work, my other job, from a little holiday luncheon. So I am excited to be back and to share with you a sneak peek from the upcoming catalog. So let's go ahead and flip over to my desktop. So here we go. So the sneak peek I'm sharing with you today is the Enduring Beauty Bundle. So the bundle is actually in 3 parts. Woohoo! So first, it comes with the stamp set, which has some lovely sentiments on there, and this big, beautiful flower stamp. And it is big. I can show it to you because we're going to be using it. But I actually had to use our largest block in order to mount it. So I don't often have to do this. This is the F block, and yeah, it's a very, very large stamp. So exciting to work with. And so you can imagine it can really be the focal point and the entirety of your card that you make. In addition, it comes with dies. So the dies have this great label. I'm always looking for wonderful labels. And it has the outline of that big stamp that I just shared with you, plus some little extras that you can add on. I love the little flowers. You can cut out 6 of them all in one fell swoop. There are 2 of these and then 2 of each of the different leaf shapes. So it's wonderful that you can do a whole lot in one swipe of the cut and emboss machine, right? But what this comes with, this bundle, and these are all sold individually as well, but this bundle comes with the Enduring Beauty decorative masks. And these masks, there are 5 of them. They are designed to color in all of that beautiful big image. And I'm not going to share with you. I'm going to let you watch how it's done before you see what the end result looks like. It is really, really cool. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to use these masks, actually all of these things, to make our card. So let us start with the most exciting part. We are going to take a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 basic white cardstock. And I'm going to put that down, and we're going to ink up that giant stamp that we were just talking about. And I think all of you know this by now, but whenever you're inking up a big stamp, anytime the stamp is bigger than the ink pad, it's always best to ink it up upside down. This way you can see where you're inking it. Make sure you're getting those tricky middle pieces, right? And so I'm just using Memento ink because it's a really nice black, and that's what I'm looking for. It doesn't have to be any special ink. I just want it to be black. And what I'm going to do is lay it down onto my paper and give it a good rub. Now, what I could have also done, which I like to do with background stamps, is have placed it down like this, place the paper over what I just inked, and then taken my scratch paper and just gone over it and make sure that I get the middle and all the pieces. So make sure that it's nice and well stamped. So you can see here, it is well stamped. Okay, so now that we've got that done, we are going to start coloring. So these are numbered. These little masks, there's little numbers. This one says, I don't know how to be able to see. You can see the 2 over here. Let's see if I tip the paper. They are out of order, but I have 5, 4, 3, 1, and 2. So what I'm going to do, I actually start with number 2. You could start with number 1, but the reason I start with number 2 is because it's very easy for me to see where it's going to line up. And that's important to know because all of them have to line up the same way. And fortunately, I did stamp it correctly. And so it is right side up, and my number is up here. Whoops, let's pull this down so you can see it better. The number is up here, so it says number 2. And again, I'm starting with number 2 just because that's a little bit easier for me. But It doesn't really matter on the 1 and the 2 in this mask set because they are done in different colors. Okay, so here I've lined it up. I have my little notch at the top. My number is right here, number 2. And what I'm going to do is take some Granny Apple Green ink. Open that up. Now, if you wanted to, you could tape this in place. I don't usually do that just because I'm lazy, let's be honest. And I'm going to take my blending brush that I have reserved for the green colors. And I'm going to ink it up with some Granny Apple Green. And then I'm going to tap off on the side and then come over and just rub the color in the spaces. Now, the reason I'm tapping off is because I want it to be a little bit lighter and I don't want to get those harsh marks. I'm still getting them a little bit, but a lot less than I would if I went straight to the paper. So you can see I'm just filling in all the open areas of this mask. Okay, hard to talk and do this at the same time, making sure I don't mess anything up. But here you'll see, and here's where the magic happens. You take it away and look, all my leaves are colored in perfectly. So exciting. So now let's go back to number 1, mask number 1. I'm just going to put my green away, and I'm going to work this time with Highland Heather. That is the lighter of the purples, and I grab my blending brush that I use for purples. And here's number 1. And you'll see how this mask has a lot more space. I was having trouble the first time I used it lining it up, and that's why I found it easier to start with number 2 as opposed to number 1. But what we're doing is we're lining it up so that each of these flowers are within the openings of the mask. And I gotta move this over, it's in my way. Here we go. I want to make sure that I have it lined up, so because it's exact. It is cut so that all that's showing through are the flowers. So here we go again. I'm going to ink up my blending brush, and I'm going to lay down my color. Now you see this is very light, and that's okay because that is what I'm looking for. Because what this set of masks does, it allows us to do a lot of shading, and it actually does the shading for you. We're going to switch colors in a minute, but you could just work with 2 colors, one green and one other color that you want your flowers. It would look pretty in pink and in blues, oranges. You can imagine anything that coordinates. So there we go. So it doesn't look like much, but look, when we pick it up, those flowers are purple. No question about it. Okay, so now we're going to move on to number 3, and conveniently number 3 uses the purple again. And for this, we're going to lay it down. And as I said, we could stick with the same Highland Heather, but I'm going to go ahead and move to the darker coordinating color, purple, which is, in this case, Gorgeous Grape. So we're going to do that. I just want to get that lined up. And you see, this is going to give us some real shading and detail. Now, what's interesting is that the shading on this, I was a little surprised. It was not the same way I necessarily would have shaded it. It's definitely a little more artistic than I would normally do if I was working with if I was coloring with Stampin' Blends or any other kind of coloring. I'm not the greatest shader. I'm going to be honest. I'm not an artist. I am a crafter through and through. Give me something quick and easy, and that's what I'm after. I don't really dwell on a lot of the details. That's just who I am. Everybody's different, but you can see how this would be better if I taped it down, but I didn't. But check out the shading on here. You see how that did it? We have some darker purples, and in theory, if you look at this, we could easily do the same coloring and shading with Stampin' Blends, and you'll see that they shaded in areas that I just wouldn't have thought of, even though they make sense. They're where the shadows would be, right? If you were thinking about working with light theory, right? And the way that the light hits the image. But usually what we say to do is just to color your darker shade of blends on the black lines. And that gives you the effect. But this is even better because it's softer. It's just a little more artistic in my opinion. So that is 3 of the layers. And now we're going to move on to layer number 4. That's mask number 4. And again, we're going to line it up just as we did before. And this time I could go back and take my very pretty granny apple green, but I'm going to switch to, I am switching to garden green because I like the way those look together. And we'll take that same brush, which is right here. We're going to tap it down, tap it off, and then we're going to apply this darker color to the openings. This one is a little trickier because this is actually coloring in the stems that we didn't color before. Whoops. See, this is where it pays to tape it down, but again, too lazy. I don't do it, but highly recommend it. Okay, how's that? Do as I say, not as I do. All right, and I forgot to tap off there, so that's going to be a little darker. So here we go, tap off, and tap back on, and wait till you see the dimension we get from this. I take it away. Look at that. Isn't that cool? You can see it's very forgiving for where I shifted, but you see that we have the detail on the lines. I probably could have used a little bit more there. And here's where I forgot to tap off, but it's still very forgiving. And you have all that detail. And lastly, for number 5, we're just going to put the final touches on the flowers. And I'm going to go back to my gorgeous scrape, and I'm going to lay it down over the center of the flowers. And what I do for this is I line up the little ones because that makes sense to me. They don't line up exactly per se, and they don't have to, but just letting you know that you might find that. But what you want is just that impression of this color. Okay, so this time I'm not tapping off. I'm not tapping off on purpose because I want this to be yet a 3rd shade of purple on top of the other 2 that we've already laid down. Okay, so you can tell that it's going to be pretty dark going through there. Here we go. And when we take it off, look what we get. Voila. Isn't that amazing? I just love how it looks like I spent a ton of time trying to get this shading done, but I didn't. It didn't take much time at all. It lines it up for you, and it is just delightful. Okay, so now that we've got that, woohoo, we're going to go ahead and cut it out. And I'm going to be honest, I have to run over and cut it out because I didn't want to do a 3rd one in advance. I'm a little lazy, as I've mentioned, and just want to get that on there. So I'm going to go take it over to my cut and emboss machine, which is just next to me, but off camera, and I apologize for that. But can't have everything right in front of me on my small workspace, but I can keep talking. And I'm just sending it through. I lined it up again because, of course, I moved it. But here we go. Dun, dun, dun. Get it through. And, of course, everything sticks when you don't want it to. But here we go. So it cuts it out perfectly. And so you don't have to do any fussy cutting. It is just wonderful. I know, Sharon, it makes you feel like an artist, right? And you use these masks. It's just amazing. Very similar in theory to the sunflowers that we had last time in the actually they're currently still available. Those are the sunflower masks in the September through December mini catalog, and they are last chance items. So if you don't have the sunflowers, you might want to grab them. But they didn't have a stamp set that went with it. So this is a step up, in my opinion. Okay, so now that we have this, this is now going to be the focal point for our card. So let's go ahead and get some coordinating cardstock. So I've got my, this is Highland Heather, cut to 8.5 by 5.5, folded at 4 1/4, as usual. And then I'm going to put some white on the inside because it is a darker color, and I have 25 Stampin' Seals, and none of them are on my desk. So let's grab one over here. If you only knew what was going on behind the scenes here. All right, so I'm going to put this on the inside of the card. There we go. Trying to line it up with a camera in your face. There we go. Okay, and the next thing I did was I took one of the basics embossing folders. These are on the in the online exclusive section of the online store, but this is like a it's not a herringbone, it's like a crosshatch. That's what I like to call it, crosshatch. And I'm just going to put some white and basic white cardstock in there, and voila, we get some nice dimension for the background of our card. And what I'm going to take next is actually herringbone. That's why the name is on the tip of my tongue. And this is in the main catalog. And I don't know about you, but I forgot all about it. This is basic white herringbone ribbon. And I'm just going to cut enough just to span the card on the vertical. And I'm going to get some scissors, which of course also migrated to the other side of the room. Get those. Oh my goodness. Having a day today. You can tell that I prepped this last night because I probably said, oh, I'll remember to put that back. Forgot to do it. Okay, so I'm just cutting it. So it's about 5.5 inches. And I'm going to adhere the ribbon to the back of the card, just like so. And this is actually going to be the bottom of the card. And then, as is my current rule these days, I am going to use my wet adhesive to adhere this to the front of my card. There we go. Come on. You can't make this stuff up, can you? Right? Okay, we're going to grab another one because at least I have 5 or 6 of them on my table right now somehow. All right, here we go. We don't need a lot. Just want to get it on here. There we go. And this will go to the front of the card, like so. Again, trying to get it straight. All right, so give that about to the count of 10 to dry up nicely. And then we are going to take some dimensionals and we're going to put our focal point onto the card. Now I think I like it this way, where these stems are pointing up. I don't think it matters. I don't think there's an up or a down, to be honest. And I'm just going to put 2 dimensionals. These dimensionals, you know, are very strong. You don't need a lot, but of course, if you want to, you can put on as many as you like. And there we go. Okay, so that's a great card, right? So let's just give it a sentiment. I'm going to grab my gorgeous grape ink pad, and I have already cut out. This is the little label that comes with the dies, and I'm using the sentiment, holding you close in my heart. Good for a lot of different occasions. Look how that fits so perfectly, and it looks so nice. And boy, this gorgeous grape, I love gorgeous grape. I just don't use it very often. And because this is already popped up and I want to put it here, I'm just going to use some regular adhesive on 1/2 on the left-hand side of the label. There it is. Can you see that? There we go. I'm going to put that here. And what is a card without a little bit of bling? So let's share with you some of our new bling that's coming in the new catalog. These gorgeous purple gems are called purple fine shimmer gems, and they are just wonderful. So we're just going to take them off with a take your pick tool. Of course, my graded as well. And I'm going to use, so you can see that they come, these are gorgeous grape, these are the Highland Heather, and these are the berry burst. How nice is that we have both? I'm going to take one of the big ones, just with my take your pick tool, put it there, and then two of the little ones. They are a little bit ombre. They get lighter to darker, but any shade works for me. And there we have it. So this is the card that I wanted to make today. So isn't that fun? All the beautiful colors. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I love the bling too. Hi, Ellen. Hi, Dawn. I'm just so glad that you like it. So pretty. Okay, so that's a lot of new stuff, and it's a new technique, and I'm so happy to share it with you. If you have any questions about it, oops, let's go all the way over here. Feel free to reach out. On my blog post today, all the dimensions and all the products are listed. However, the links are not there yet for the new products, which are the Enduring Beauty stamp set, mask, and dies, as well as the little gems. And they will be available as soon as the catalog goes live on January 5th. But in the meantime, if you would like a catalog and don't have one, please reach out and I'll make sure I get one to you. Somehow I ended up not talking to you. But anyway, have a very, very Merry Christmas for those of you who celebrate. And I will see you next Wednesday. I will be here at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And until then, have a wonderful holiday. Take care, everyone. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining.